You ever wake up one day and realize you're not actually living your life? Like you're just surviving it? That's what happened to Marcus. Dude was 32, living in Long Beach, had a decent gig at a tech startup, drove a nice whip, ate out whenever he wanted. On paper, he was crushing it. But here's the thing nobody tells you about the American dream. Sometimes you're not chasing it. Sometimes it's chasing you. And when it catches up, man, it's brutal. Marcus thought he was free. He really did. Credit cards gave him that illusion, you know? That little piece of plastic that says, yeah, you can afford this. But freedom and permission aren't the same thing. Not even close. One day he's swiping for happy hour in Santa Monica, living his best life. 3 years later, he's staring at his phone at 2 a.m., watching his bank account drain from interest alone, feeling his chest tighten like someone's sitting on it. This isn't just Marcus's story though. This is America's story. And if you've ever felt that panic, that suffocating weight of owing more than you make, more than you'll ever make, stick around. Because what I'm about to show you isn't just dark, it's real. And it's happening right now. Before we go deeper into Marcus's story, real quick, if you're watching this and you've ever felt trapped by money, or you know someone who has, hit that subscribe button right now. Here's why. This channel breaks down the real psychology behind why we do what we do with money, relationships, and life choices. No sugarcoating, no BS, just raw truth. And if you don't subscribe, you're gonna miss the next video where I reveal what actually breaks people free from this trap. And it's not what you think. So click subscribe, drop a like, and let's keep going. Trust me, you'll want to see where this goes. Let me take you back to where it all started for Marcus. Not the debt part, the dream part. Because that's how they get you, right? With a dream. Marcus grew up in Fresno, middle-class family, nothing fancy but nothing broken either. His pops worked construction, his mom was a teacher's aide. They taught him the basics. Work hard, stay honest, build something. But they also taught him something else without meaning to. They taught him that struggling was normal. That paycheck to paycheck was just life. And Marcus? He wanted more than that. He wanted out. College was supposed to be his ticket. He got into Cal State Long Beach, started studying computer science, and for the first time in his life he felt like he was heading somewhere. But here's the thing about college in America. It's not just an education. It's a transaction. And Marcus didn't have the cash up front, so he did what millions of kids do. He borrowed. Student loans. They made it sound so simple, so harmless. Invest in yourself, they said. You'll pay it back when you're making bank. And Marcus believed it. Why wouldn't he? Everyone else was doing it. $20,000 in loans later, he graduated. Got a job at a startup in Long Beach making $55K a year. Not bad, right? He felt like he'd made it. Finally. He moved into a little apartment in Belmont Shore, nothing crazy, but it was his. For the first time in his life, Marcus had his own space, his own money, his own life. And that's when the credit card offers started rolling in. You know the ones. You've been pre-approved. Enjoy 0% APR for 12 months. Build your credit score. They come in the mail, they pop up online, they're everywhere. And Marcus thought, why not? He'd been responsible his whole life. He could handle a credit card. So he got 1, then 2, then 4. At first, it was practical stuff. A new laptop for work. Some furniture for the apartment. A few nights out with his boys because, man, he'd been grinding for years and deserved to live a little. But here's what nobody tells you about credit cards. They don't feel like real money. They feel like permission. Like someone saying, yeah, you're good for it. Go ahead. And your brain? Your brain starts playing tricks on you. You stop asking, can I afford this? And start asking, can I make the minimum payment? And that's where the trap snaps shut. Marcus's life started looking better on the outside. New clothes. Nicer car. Nothing crazy, just a clean used Honda Accord, but he financed it. Dinners in downtown LA. Weekend trips to San Diego. He was living, you know? He was finally living. But every month, those minimum payments got a little harder to make. And the balances? They weren't going down. They were growing. Slowly at first. Then faster. Because that's how interest works. It's quiet. It's patient. And it's ruthless. By year 2, Marcus owed 15 grand on his credit cards. Plus the car loan. Plus the student loans which had started coming due. His $55K salary suddenly didn't feel like enough. Not even close. He started doing the math in his head constantly. Rent $1,200. Car payment $320. Student loans $450. Credit cards minimum $500. Utilities, phone, insurance, gas, food. He was underwater before he even got to live. So he did what people do when they're drowning. He grabbed another lifeline. Another credit card. This one had a higher limit. He told himself he'd use it to pay down the others, consolidate, get smart about it. But that's not what happened. What happened was he kept spending. Not because he was reckless. Not because he didn't care. But because he was tired. Tired of saying no to himself. Tired of watching everyone around him live while he just survived. And credit gave him a way to say yes. For a while. Marcus started waking up at night. 2 a.m., 3 a.m. just staring at the ceiling. His chest tight. His mind racing. Calculating. Always calculating. How much he owed. How much he made. How far behind he was. He'd grab his phone, open his banking app and just stare at the numbers. Red everywhere. Overdraft warnings. Past due notices. And the worst part? He couldn't tell anyone. Not his family. Not his boys. Because admitting you're broke when you look like you're winning? That's humiliation. So he kept the mask on. Kept showing up to work. Kept posting on the gram like everything was cool. But inside, he was falling apart. The calls started coming. Collection agencies. Robo-dialers. Unknown numbers blowing up his phone 5-6 times a day. He stopped answering. What was he gonna say? Yeah, I know I owe you. I just don't have it. He started avoiding his mailbox because he knew what was in there. Red envelopes. Final notices. Threats of legal action. His credit score, which he'd worked so hard to build, tanked. 680 became 540 became 490. And with that came a new kind of trap. Because now, even if he wanted to refinance, consolidate, or get help, nobody would touch him. Bad credit means high interest. High interest means you're stuck. You're not a person anymore. You're a risk. A number. A liability. Marcus tried everything. Side hustles. DoorDash on weekends. Selling stuff online. But it was like pouring water into a bucket with a hole in the bottom. Nothing he did made a real dent. And the stress? The stress started breaking him physically. He lost weight. Started getting headaches. His back hurt all the time from the tension he was carrying. His boys noticed he wasn't coming out anymore, but he'd just make excuses. I'm tired, bro. Got work stuff. Next time for sure. But there was no next time. Because next time cost money. And money was the one thing Marcus didn't have. What he had was debt. $38,000 of it. And a salary that could barely keep him alive, let alone free. Here's where Marcus's story takes a turn that nobody saw coming. Not even him. It was a Tuesday. Regular day. He'd just gotten off work, sitting in his car in the parking lot, staring at his phone. Another email. Another past due notice. This one was from his car lender. 2 payments behind. They were threatening repossession. And something in Marcus just broke. Not in a dramatic way. Not like in the movies where someone screams or punches a wall. Nah, it was quieter than that. Scarier than that. He just sat there and thought, what's the point? And that's the moment. That's the moment when debt stops being about money and becomes about your soul. Because Marcus wasn't just thinking about the car. He was thinking about everything. His whole life. All those years of doing the right thing. College. Working hard. Playing by the rules. And for what? To be 32 years old, sitting in a parking lot, wondering if he should just disappear. That's what debt does. It makes you feel like you're the problem. Like you failed. Like everyone else figured it out and you're just too stupid, too weak, too broken to get it together. But here's what Marcus didn't know yet. Here's what they don't want you to know. This wasn't his fault. Not really. See, Marcus thought he was bad with money. He thought he made bad choices. But the truth? The game was rigged from the start. Let me break it down. The credit card industry in America is a $300 billion business. 300 billion. And you know where most of that money comes from? Not from people who pay off their balance every month. Nah, those people are called deadbeats in the industry. Actual term they use. The real money? It comes from people like Marcus. People who carry a balance. People who pay interest. People who get trapped. And it's by design. You think it's an accident that credit card offers flood your mailbox right when you're young and vulnerable? That they target college kids who don't know any better? That they make minimum payments so low that you think you can afford it, but so calculated that you'll be paying for years? It's not an accident. It's the business model. And student loans? Man, don't even get me started. We tell 18-year-olds, go to college or you'll be a failure. Then we hand them $50, $60, $100,000 in loans and say, good luck. These are kids who can't even rent a car yet, but we're letting them sign up for decades of debt. And the interest rates? They're criminal. Some of these loans are at 6, 7, 8%. You could get a mortgage for less than that. But we don't call it predatory. We call it investing in your future. Marcus started digging. Late at night, when he couldn't sleep, he'd be on Reddit reading stories. And he realized something that shook him. He wasn't alone. Not even close. There were thousands of people. Millions. All telling the same story. I did everything right and I'm drowning. I make decent money and I can't afford to live. I feel like I'm going crazy. And that's when Marcus started to see the truth. The system doesn't want you to pay off your debt. It wants you to service it. Forever. Think about it. If everyone paid off their credit cards, their student loans, their car payments, the entire economy would collapse. Banks would lose billions. The stock market would crash. So they keep you right on the edge. Just enough in debt that you keep paying. Just scared enough that you don't stop. Just hopeful enough that you don't give up. It's psychological warfare. And most people don't even realize they're in the fight. Marcus found a study, published by the Federal Reserve. It said that 63% of Americans couldn't cover a $500 emergency without borrowing or selling something. 63%. That's not a personal failure. That's systemic. But they don't frame it that way. They frame it like you're irresponsible. Like you should have saved more. Like you should have budgeted better. And Marcus had believed that. He carried that shame. That guilt. Thinking he was broken. But he wasn't broken. The system was. And realizing that changed everything. He started looking at his debt differently. Not as a moral failing. But as a trap he'd walked into because he was told it was the path forward. He started seeing all the little ways the system kept him down. How his bank charged him $35 for overdrafts when he was already broke. How his credit card company raised his interest rate to 29% because he missed one payment. How his landlord raised his rent every year but his salary stayed the same. Every institution that was supposed to help him build a life was actually extracting from him. Bleeding him dry. Little by little. And calling it normal. Marcus stopped feeling like a failure. And started feeling like a target. But here's the thing. Awareness doesn't pay bills. Knowing the game is rigged doesn't make the debt disappear. If anything, it made things worse for a minute. Because now Marcus was angry. Not just sad or scared. Angry. And anger can either destroy you or fuel you. For Marcus, it was about to be both. Hold up, real quick, what are you thinking right now? Because this is where it gets real. Drop a comment below. You ever felt trapped like Marcus? You know someone going through this right now? Maybe it's you. Talk to me. What's your story? I read every single comment and honestly hearing from you is what keeps me making these videos. But yo, don't click away yet. Because what happens next with Marcus, it's not what you think. And if you leave now, you're gonna miss the one thing that actually changed everything for him. The thing that nobody talks about. So stick with me. I promise it's worth it. So Marcus is sitting there, angry, aware, but still broke. And that's the part they don't show you in the motivational videos, right? Like, you can have all the awareness in the world, you can know the system is rigged, but when your lights are about to get shut off, awareness doesn't keep them on. He needed a plan. But more than that, he needed to change the way he thought about money. About debt. About himself. Because here's the real trap. The deepest one, the one that keeps people stuck for life. It's not just the debt itself. It's the shame around it. The silence. Marcus had been carrying this weight alone for 3 years. 3 years of pretending everything was fine while he was dying inside. And that isolation. That's what almost killed him. Not the debt. The loneliness of it. So he did something radical. Something that terrified him. He told the truth. Started with his boy Chris. They were grabbing coffee and Chris was talking about some new sneakers he wanted to cop and Marcus just said it. Bro, I can't do this anymore. I'm broke. Like really broke. I'm $38K in debt and I don't know how I'm gonna get out. He expected judgment. Embarrassment. Maybe Chris would look at him different, think he was less than. But you know what Chris said? Damn bro, me too. Turns out Chris was $22K deep on credit cards. Had been hiding it for 2 years. They sat there in that coffee shop in Seal Beach for 3 hours. Just talking. Comparing numbers. Swapping stories about the panic attacks, the sleepless nights, the calls from collectors. And for the first time in years, Marcus didn't feel alone. That conversation changed something in him. He realized that the shame was the real prison. The debt was just the bars. But the shame? That was the lock. And once he started talking about it, once he stopped pretending, the lock started to come undone. He told his sister next. She cried. Not because she was disappointed, but because she'd been going through the same thing and thought she was the only one. Then he told his mom. And his mom, man, she said something that hit different. She said, "Baby, you're not in debt because you're bad with money. You're in debt because the game changed and nobody told us the rules." And she was right. His parents' generation could work a regular job, buy a house, raise kids, and retire with a pension. Marcus's generation? They're working 2 jobs, drowning in student loans, can't afford rent, and retirement is a fantasy. The American dream didn't die. It got put behind a paywall. And they're charging interest on it. Marcus started doing research. Real research. He found out that the average American has over $90,000 in debt when you combine mortgages, student loans, credit cards, and car payments. 90,000. And wages? They've barely moved in 40 years when you adjust for inflation. So people are making the same money, but everything costs more. Housing, education, healthcare, food. Everything. It's not that people are more irresponsible now. It's that survival got more expensive and nobody raised the price of labor to match. Marcus also learned something that blew his mind. The concept of credit scores didn't even exist until 1989. Before that, whether you got a loan depended on your relationship with your local bank. They knew you, knew your family. It was personal. But then they invented this number, this score. And suddenly your entire financial life, your trustworthiness, your value as a human being got reduced to 3 digits. And the system was designed to keep you borrowing. Because a perfect credit score isn't someone who never uses credit. It's someone who uses it constantly and pays it back just enough to keep the money flowing. You're not building wealth. You're building their wealth. And they've convinced you that it's freedom. But Marcus started to see another truth too. A harder one. He had made some bad choices. Not all of it was the system. Some of it was him. Those trips to San Diego. Those nights out when he knew he couldn't afford it. That wasn't the system. That was him trying to numb the pain. Trying to feel like he was living when he was actually sinking. And owning that? That was painful. But it was also necessary. Because you can't change what you don't acknowledge. The system is rigged, yeah. But you still gotta play your hand the best way you can. Marcus started getting serious. He wrote down every single debt. The amounts, the interest rates, the minimum payments. Seeing it all on paper made him want to throw up, but he did it anyway. $38,217. That was the number. Then he made a budget. A real one. Not the kind where you lie to yourself about how much you spend on food. He tracked every dollar for a month. And he realized he was bleeding money in places he didn't even notice. Subscriptions he forgot about. Delivery fees that added up. Little things that felt like nothing but became everything. He cut everything that wasn't essential. No more eating out. No more streaming services. No more anything that wasn't rent, utilities, debt payments, and basic food. It sucked. It was depressing. He felt like he was in prison. But you know what? For the first time in 3 years his debt stopped growing. It wasn't going down much. But it stopped growing. And that was something. He picked up more side work. Not because he wanted to. But because he had to. He was working 50, 60 hours a week between his day job and driving for Uber on nights and weekends. He was exhausted. His body hurt. His mental health was trash. But every extra $100 went straight to debt. And slowly, painfully, the number started to shrink. 38,000 became 37,000. Then 35. Then 32. It took a year to get there. A whole year of grinding, sacrificing, and living like a monk. But Marcus started to feel something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Not the fake kind. Not the kind that comes from ignoring your problems. But real hope. The kind that comes from knowing you're in a fight and you're finally swinging back. But here's what Marcus learned that nobody talks about. Getting out of debt doesn't just change your bank account. It changes who you are. Every payment he made, he was proving something to himself. That he wasn't broken. That he wasn't stupid. That he could do hard things. And that's the real transformation. Not the money. The identity. Because debt doesn't just take your money. It takes your sense of self. It makes you believe you're not capable. That you're not worthy. That you're always going to be behind. And breaking free from that? That's the real freedom. Not having a zero balance. But believing you deserve one. Marcus is still fighting. He's not out yet. Not completely. As of right now, he's down to 18,000 in debt. That's 20,000 he's knocked out in 2 years. 2 years of grinding, sacrificing, and refusing to give up. And here's what he told me when we talked last month. He said, "I'm not the same person I was when this started. The debt changed me. But getting out of it? That's changing me even more. Because that's the thing about rock bottom. It shows you who you really are. And climbing out shows you who you can become." Marcus isn't just paying off debt anymore. He's rebuilding his relationship with money. With himself. With what freedom actually means. And yeah, he still has bad days. Days where he wants to say screw it and just spend. Days where the weight of it all feels too heavy. But he keeps going. Not because it's easy, but because he knows what's on the other side. And it's not just a zero balance. It's peace. Real peace. The kind you can't buy. The kind you earn. Now, if you're sitting here watching this and you're in debt, I need you to hear this. You are not broken. You are not stupid. You are not alone. The system is designed to trap you. But it's not designed to keep you. There's a way out. It's hard. It's painful. It takes time. But it's possible. And you're stronger than you think. But here's the thing, Marcus's story? It's not over. Because getting out of debt is only half the battle. What comes after? That's where it gets interesting. That's where most people fail. Because they get out of debt and then fall right back in because they never fix the real problem. The psychology. The habits. The beliefs about money that got them there in the first place. And I'm breaking all of that down in the next video. I'm gonna show you exactly what Marcus is doing now to make sure he never ends up back in that hole. The mindset shifts. The strategies. The uncomfortable truths about money that most people never figure out. It's gonna challenge everything you think you know about wealth, security, and what it really means to be free in America. So click that next video right now. Don't wait. Don't tell yourself you'll watch it later. Because if you're serious about changing your financial life, if you're serious about breaking free from this trap, you need to see what comes next. This is where the real work begins. And I promise you it's gonna hit different. Let's go.